A refugee arrives on Valentine's Day in 1952 to America with his only son. Together, him and his son built a multi-million-dollar business in Chicago over decades. November 2012, that man is subjected to a court process known as probate. His son remains in probate over 10 years later. This is that man's story and his son's. This is Philip Rothheimer. He arrived to Ellis Island, New York, on Valentine's Day in 1952, on February 14th. He brought his only son, Philip Rothheimer. His son Philip was only 2 years old when they came to America. They made their way from New York, to Chicago, Illinois. They did not speak English when they arrived. Philip Sr. only had 6 years of education, but he had an entrepreneurial spirit. In Chicago, he started out as a refugee, working as a baker, and would joke he made his dough from dough. He had a vision some call around the world the American dream, to build his own business, from a humble baker, and before that from a humble refugee. In the 1960s, America was riddled in the Vietnam War. Men were subjected to the draft, and little Philip was selected for the draft. But after serving, returned to working for his father in tough circumstances, repairing many apartments with a tight budget. Philip Jr.'s father told him he would pass the business on to him. Philip Rothheimer wrote a will, had a land trust, a living trust, so you could say he kept his word. But that's not where the story ends. Philip Rothheimer ended up in probate, in guardianship proceedings. His land trust ended up in probate, in chancery court proceedings. And his living trust ended up in probate. And his son remains in probate over 10 years later. From refugee to multi-millionaire, that would have been a nice story for the Rothheimers to pass on. Philip Rothheimer Jr. had a son, and he named him Philip Rothheimer. Philip Sr.'s grandson had a little house near a lake that was badly in need of repairs. He tried fixing it up himself, but it was a big job for one person. He was in need of money for the repairs. He had shares in his grandfather's successful business, but those were trapped in probate too. He owned the shares when his grandfather was alive, but the people with authority in probate just held on to his shares for years and years. Philip passed away in 2018, and they're still holding on to his shares. His house was never repaired. Probate court has impacted 4 generations of Philip Rothheimer's family, and the youngest Philip Rothheimer did not survive the litigation. The family is not the same after losing Philip. How did the Rothheimers' American dream become the American nightmare? On Valentine's Day, February 14, 2013, Philip Rothheimer meets with Dr. Shaw. Dr. Shaw does an evaluation of Philip Rothheimer in probate proceedings. The conclusions of Dr. Shaw's report decided whether Philip had rights to his person, property, and assets. After conducting only one interview with Philip Rothheimer. We'll go step by step through probate. Along the way, we will only ask that you follow the money and keep your mind open to what you will witness, because it will not be easy, but it may save your loved one from human rights abuses, losing their rights to their property and to their person, and to their mistreatment.